Have you ever made a money decision that, in hindsight, makes no sense at all? Have you bought something expensive with a bill you found in your pocket, but it would hurt you to spend the same bill if it came from your salary? Have you held on to an investment that was only losing money just because you had already put so much money into it? My friends, you are not alone. Our minds play tricks on us. Every day, we make economic decisions believing we are completely rational, but science has shown we are wrong. Our brain uses shortcuts, and sometimes those shortcuts lead us straight off a financial cliff. Today, we are diving into the depths of our own psychology to uncover the biases that control our wallets. We will expose these patterns, one by one, with real-life examples you will immediately relate to. And we will end with a controversial question. Are we truly in control of our economic decisions, or are we just puppets of our cognitive prejudices? Let's start with the basics. A cognitive bias is essentially a structured error in our mental processing. It's a psychological blind spot that leads us to a conclusion that goes against logic. They are mental shortcuts our brain takes to save energy, avoiding rationalizing every small decision we make in a day. And in the world of money, these shortcuts can be tremendously costly. Our first major bias is one we've all experienced: mental accounting. Mental accounting explains how we tend to assign a subjective value to our money in ways that violate the most basic economic principles. Imagine this scene. You're walking down the street and find a €100 bill on the sidewalk. What would you do? Most of us, who are normally frugal and save, suddenly feel free to spend that €100 on an expensive dinner or a treat. We tell ourselves, this money is extra, it's not part of my savings. But money is fungible, friends. A euro is a euro, no matter where it comes from. By creating separate mental categories for our money-spending money, savings money, lucky money, we make irrational decisions about its use. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful and damaging biases: loss aversion. This bias causes people to value avoiding losses much more than obtaining gains. The pain of losing €100 is psychologically much more intense than the pleasure of winning the same amount. And what is the consequence of this? That we cling to sinking investments, hoping to recover and not have to materialize that loss in our brain. It's the famous holding on until the bitter end. Or, at the other extreme, it causes us to sell our investments impulsively during market panics, because we can't stand seeing our portfolio as value fall day after day. The fear of losing is a greater incentive than the possibility of gaining something of similar value. And then there is the bias that turns crowds into an irresistible magnet. Herd behavior or the herd effect. This bias occurs when investors follow other people instead of making their own decisions. It's that fear of missing out, the FOMO you see on social media. If all your friends are investing in a cryptocurrency or a trendy stock, you might jump in too, even if it's risky, just so you don't get left out. History is full of examples of mass investments, like preferred shares, which ended in absolute failure, largely driven by this imitation effect. The crowd is not always right. Sometimes, the crowd is made of people following another crowd, creating a gigantic bubble that's about to burst. Next on our list is the dangerous confirmation bias. This is a cognitive bias that refers to our tendency to search for, interpret, or favor information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. At the same time, we ignore or actively discard any information that questions them. For example, if we are convinced that a company we invested in is fantastic, our brain will automatically seek out positive news about it. We will only read analyses from optimistic gurus, and we will dismiss any reports talking about regulatory problems or weaknesses in its business model as noise or fake news. We create an information bubble that reinforces our initial mistake until reality, relentless, hits us in the face with losses we could have foreseen. And we couldn't leave out the silent enemy of every trader or investor: overconfidence. People tend to believe we are smarter than we really are. When we are successful in a few trades or investments, we start to feel that we can't be wrong. Arrogance begins. We start to overestimate our abilities and the accuracy of our predictions, which leads us to take excessive and unnecessary risks. An overconfident person always tends to underestimate the risks of their decisions, while overestimating the expected gains. The market is a master at humbling arrogant students, and the lesson is usually very, very expensive. But biases don't just affect individuals. They reach the highest levels of the economy. Let's talk about status bias. This is a psychological phenomenon that leads us to value more the opinions, decisions, or products of those who hold positions of prestige, privilege, or power, regardless of their true merit or efficacy. In financial markets, this translates into overvaluing assets or companies simply for being associated with high-status figures or institutions, like an Elon Musk or a renowned investment fund. We consumers may prefer products or services from luxury brands, even if there are cheaper alternatives of equal quality, simply for the status they confer. This bias reinforces the concentration of power in the hands of an economic elite, generating large-scale distortions and perpetuating inequality. And here comes the controversial element I want to pose to you today. We are constantly sold the idea that we are the masters of our financial destiny, that with education and effort, anyone can succeed. But what if the game is rigged from the start? What if these cognitive biases, these predictable and irrational thought patterns, make us manipulable participants in an economic system that rewards those who understand and exploit these weaknesses? Large corporations and trading platforms use behavioral economics to design their products and interfaces to make you buy more, trade more, even if it's not what's best for you. Is financial freedom an illusion when our own mind is our biggest jailer? I want you to debate this in the comments. Now, how do we defend ourselves? The good news is that the first step to winning this battle is awareness. Simply knowing these biases exist reduces their power over us. But we must go further. Keep a journal of your financial decisions. Write down why you bought, why you sold, what you were feeling at that moment. A trading journal, for example, can help you regularly identify bias patterns so you can adjust your approach. Always seek out perspectives contrary to your own. If you think an investment is good, actively look for arguments against it. Practice contrary thinking to challenge the herd mentality. And most importantly, follow a plan. Have a financial plan or a trading plan and stick to it. Avoid making impulsive decisions based on momentary emotions or biased beliefs. Friends, we've taken an intense journey today. We've broken down the biases that silently steal our money and cloud our judgment. The battle for financial freedom is not only fought in the markets, it is fought first in our minds. Now I ask you, which bias do you identify with the most? When did you realize that an economic decision of yours was irrational? I want to read your stories in the comments. Tell me about your experience. And if this video opened your eyes, if it made you question your own decisions, then click the like button. It helps us tremendously to keep growing. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, because we are going to dive deeper into each of these biases in future videos. You have the power to rewrite the rules of the game in your brain. Use it.